Welcome, 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 everybody. This is Reverend Karen and Fearlessly Feral Living coming at you with another podcast. And of course, you know that I'm broadcasting to you from the Woogie Ranch out here in the back 40 of northwestern Nevada, where I'm a half an hour away from the nearest gas station and the nearest grocery store. And this is a podcast devoted to revealing practical ways to apply spiritual principles and practices to ensure successful creative living. Fearlessly Feral is a focused ministry of Centers for Spiritual Living, and we're devoted to the vision of a world in which everyone lives fearlessly feral, or other words, wild and free. Our mission is to facilitate successful living. Our purpose is to transcend. And by transcend, I mean live beyond the ordinary. I love that. And our vision is a world in which everyone lives wild and free. So, today I'm going to talk about my new book. It's my third book. It's called How to Live Fearlessly Feral. Now, this book is pretty amazing. I consider it my seminal work. My first two books, the first one was necessary, and I may work on a enlarged and expanded and revised second edition of that book because it's proven to be very valuable with steady sales. And if I had one regret about that book, it's called A New Thought Journey Through the 12 Steps. It's that I published it too quickly. And it could use some expansion and some revision, a little bit of revision, a lot of expansion. The second book's an autobiography. It's called A Girl Who Cried Woogie. And I published that book because everybody who's heard my story told me I needed to write an autobiography and get it out there in the world. And the only reason I published that one is to hopefully help anybody who needs it. Because if I can be here doing what I'm doing and living the way I'm doing after being there, the way it's described in the book, anybody can do it. Anybody can live fearlessly feral. And that brings me full circle around to my latest book called How to Live Fearlessly Feral. It is available currently, by the way, as of today, December 18th, 2025. It's available directly through me and through my publisher, bookbaby.com, in print version. It's available everywhere else in digital version. You can buy the digital version on Amazon. You can buy it at Apple Books. So you can also buy it from my publisher, BookBaby. So wherever you get your digital books from, it's available there. So what I want to talk about today is a little bit about the book and about this, and then about this thing I'm really excited about. It's a year-long program based on the book. So the book is about spiritual principles and practices and how to apply them. And here's the story behind the book. And I do mention this in the book, but it's pretty important in the overall scheme of things. This book started life as a daily reader, one of those readers where you read a page a day and you set the tone of your day based on what you've read. Well, I thought I'd do one of those. Well, I started writing. I got about half a year's worth of entries done, and then I got stuck. And nothing I did got me unstuck. It was not going anywhere, and I was pretty frustrated about it. And when I get like that, I try to take a break and do other things. And boy, I did that so many times. I took a break and did other things, and I was still stuck. And I was about ready to give up. And so one day I'm outside doing what I do pretty near every single day, and that's clean horse stalls. So I'm out there cleaning horse stalls, which is a very meditative practice. It's kind of like my version of wax on, wax off, from that movie, The Karate Kid, or the Buddha saying before enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. After enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. Well, my version is clean horse shit every single day. So I'm out there doing my thing. I'm meditating. I'm just kind of relaxing out there in the fresh air and the sunshine. And all of a sudden, I hear a voice loud and clear, and it's the book talking to me. And it says, Karen, there's a reason why we are stuck on this book. And I'm Okay, why are we stuck? And the book said, Karen, every podcast you do, every article you write, everything you do, all of your time in your ministry is devoted towards teaching spiritual principles and practices so that people can live more successfully and happier lives. That's what the book needs to be about. It doesn't need to be a daily reader. And I went, oh, okay. Now, I don't know about you, but when I get these kinds of voices, I listen because that's the voice of intuition. And because I do my spiritual practices and because I live in spiritual principle, my sense of intuition is very highly developed. And I'm going to teach you all about that in the book and in this year-long program, by the way, how to access that and trust it, how to trust it. So anyway, I finished my job. I came in. I looked at what I had written with the daily readings. I took that document and I stuck it in another place somewhere and I started on this book. And what came out is what is available and being published today, How to Live Fearlessly Feral. The first section is about spiritual principles. Now, here's the deal with spiritual principles. We all talk about them. What's a spiritual principle? Love, unconditional love. That's a principle. In New Thought, in Centers for Spiritual Living, where we teach science of mind, oneness is a spiritual principle. The creative process is a spiritual principle. All of these things are spiritual principles, and we talk about them and we throw them around and we say these are good things to lean on, and you have to understand them, and we teach about them. I've not ever met one single person. Well, that's not true. I've met people, but most people I meet are like, how do you live in principle? What does that mean? Well, that's what this book is about, the first section. It goes through a list of spiritual principles and it describes in detail how that outpictures in your life if you're living in that principle. And I won't, I've described it in the book, I've described it in some articles. I'll probably describe it in the podcast, and I'm going to go into it in the year-long journey. So I'm not going to say anything more about that, but that's principle. And principle is our foundation for living. It's pretty important to know what our principles are and to live in them. So that's the first section of the book. The second section of the book is the practices, things like meditation and treatment, which in Science of Mind world, we don't pray, we don't beseech to an outside entity. That's the traditional definition of prayer. We do affirmative prayer, also called treatment. That's a spiritual practice. Meditation, treatment, journaling, contemplation. I have a couple of my own that I have created and designed and live in. One of them is called Gentle Discipline. I love that one. And Loving It All is another one. So I have all these spiritual practices. Again, descriptions. What does it look like when you're practicing these things? How do you practice them? When do you practice them? I answer all those questions in this book. The third section of the book is where the oomph is. It's where the good stuff is. The third section is a year-long guide. Each month takes a principle and a practice and the reader takes a deep dive into that principle and that practice for the whole month. By the end of the month, they are so well versed in that principle and practice that they are living it and they are well on their way to living fearlessly feral. And by the end of the year, I guarantee it, your life will be changed. This book will rock your world. So, book got published. I started thinking about, okay, I need to start teaching this thing. I need to teach a class. I need to do a workshop. All that stuff was kind of falling flat. And then I thought, why don't I just do a year-long thing with this book? And so that's what I'm doing. I'm offering a year-long journey with this book. So I'm calling it the Fearlessly Feral Journey. It's a year-long guided, deeply supported spiritual adventure. We'll begin it in January, and it's designed for people who are ready to stop living the way they've been living and step into a life shaped from the inside out. because there's a foundational truth in this teaching. Everything is created twice. It's created first in our mind, in our consciousness, and then it's created in physical form. So once you know how to, once you train your mind, as Ernest Holmes speaks of, and once you've got a trained mind and you live from the inside out, then you're off and running. You're off and running to new and better things, and things on the outside begin to manifest. The other part of this journey is you're going to be part of a virtual community because there's going to be other people on this journey with you. Each month we'll meet. We'll meet once a month in person via Zoom. And there's some other goodies, but let me just explore. You might be asking, okay, why should I do this thing? It's a whole year. Do I really want to commit to a whole year of this journey? Well, at the end of the year, you're going to be the same age you would be if you didn't commit. At the end of the year, you're going to be still living. At the end of the year, if you don't commit to this journey, you're going to be still living the same life you've always lived. But if you commit to this journey at the end of the year, you're going to be living differently and you're going to be feeling differently. So this journey is for you. If you have some limitation in any area of your life, doesn't matter. It's for you if you've noticed that you've got a repeating pattern going on that isn't working so well. Make the same decisions over and over and over again, or you attract the same kind of person in your life over and over and over again. They have a different face, they have a different body, they have a different name, but it's the same person. That's a biggie. That's a pattern. This journey is for you if you struggle with low self-esteem or if you can't trust yourself or others. This journey is for you if you feel stuck in some area or stalled or disconnected from your purpose, or you don't know what your purpose is, you want some clarity. This journey is for you if you know that there is more to you than what you are currently experiencing, and you're ready to claim that more. So here's what comes with the journey. When you sign up for this journey, I'm going to send you via email a PDF version of the book, How to Live Fearlessly Feral. So that comes with it. You can buy a print version if you want. You can get one directly from me or go to my publisher. Also, each month you're going to receive a video lesson from me that you can listen to or watch at any time. You're going to receive a written guide and reflection questions that will take you a little deeper into each month's exercises, even more than what I've already explained in the book. And each month we're going to do that live Zoom session. Now, here's the kicker. I crack up every time I describe this because here's what we're going to do on the session. The first part of the Zoom session is going to be taken up with that month's principle and practice and addressing any questions or challenges you may be having around them. The second part of our time together in each month's Zoom session is going to be a sort of what I call stump the minister time. And I'm hoping you guys don't stump me too much, but I'm going to ask you each month to present a life challenge to me, at which point I will respond with, well, this was probably created because you're not living in this principle, or it might be created because you're living in that principle and you need to live in this principle. And here's how to take care of the challenge. Here's the practice to use to take care of the challenge and move it from something that's limiting to you to something that is expanding for you. So I'm pretty excited about the way those Zoom sessions are, the way everything came out. And I can't wait to have the first one with you guys in January. So each month we're going to go into a principle and a practice, and I'll just share with you. So January is about the basics, which are oneness and introspection. Now, if you know me, you know introspection, which can also be called personal self-awareness, is huge. There is not a day that goes by in my life that I do not practice introspection. There's other things I practice regularly, but introspection is my one consistent go-to. Oneness is the principle that upon which I base everything else. It's a big foundation. That's January. February. What else are we going to talk about in February? We're going to talk about love in February and more deeper introspection. March, we're going to talk about spiritual laws and getting grounded through introspection and grounded because of introspection. April, one of my favorite principles, the creative process, which is also kind of a practice too, and forgiveness, which is also one of my favorite practices. It's also one of the most challenging, but if you've done your introspection properly, it's not a challenge at all. You know precisely why you are forgiving. You know precisely what you are forgiving, and you know who you are forgiving, and you are very happy to do so. In May, we're going to talk about freedom and what that means, and treatment. We're going to learn the basics of treatment. Now, spiritual mind treatment, like I said before, it's our form of affirmative prayer. We might address it in previous months because it's a pretty big deal, but we're definitely going to take a deep dive into it in May. In June, heaven on earth. What is that? Heaven on earth and gentle discipline. July, we're going to return back to oneness. Oh, I'm sorry. Turn that puppy off. That was my alarm telling me to go check the oven. It'll wait. July, we're going to return back to oneness. And we're going to continue into introspection. Each month has a different introspection or self-awareness practice, by the way. I get a lot of folks who say, how do you do introspection? How do you do self-awareness? Well, this book will teach you that. And we'll dive into that in this program. In August, meditation as a path through the creative process. So we're going to talk about meditation in August. By August, you've got a trained enough mind that you can sit down and meditate. September, going back into some more love again, a little bit deeper dive into love, and a focused introspection practice. Some of these introspection practices are very delicious. October, we're going to take a deep exploration of what our threefold nature is. And if you're Christian based, you know what that threefold nature is. Doesn't have anything to do with us. Father, Son, Holy Spirit. That ain't it. It's different with us. It's within us. And that's the only clue I'm going to give you. You got to join it if you want to experience it. November, gratitude as a pathway into even greater love. And December, your eternal life and the joy of service. So that is the year-long journey in a nutshell. That's it in a nutshell. If you have any questions about it, reach out to me. Send me a message. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Substack. I'll put my email in the show notes for this. Doesn't matter. If you have any questions about it, reach out to me. I'll also put the registration link into the show notes. Basically, you go to my website, fearlesslyferal.org, and click on the register button. And what else can I share with you here? I think that's it. Yeah, any questions, contact me. And boy, I sure am excited about this. I'm really excited about it. So that's my podcast for today. Fairly short. You know that Fearlessly Feral Living is a Centers for Spiritual Living focused ministry. Now, here's the deal. This is the month when people tend to give a bit. Any donations financially that you might want to give to Fearlessly Feral Living are all tax deductible. Here's the deal with giving. When we give, we expand our own sense of givingness. We expand our own sense of enlargement. We expand our own sense of abundance. And there's different ways to give, not just financially, although in this case it's about finances. But I'm going to share a little story with you. I'm not done talking yet. I'm going to share a little story with you. So yesterday I went to the grocery store, which is a bit of a journey because I live a half an hour away. I thought I had eaten properly. I get to the grocery store and I realize I'm just a little bit hungry. So, we've got a shopping while hungry situation going on here. Not good. Try not to shop while hungry. I buy some real interesting things when I'm shopping while hungry. But in this case, I bought something really cool. So I'm getting everything on my list. I'm being a pretty good girl. I'm not getting things that are not on my list, even though I'm hungry. And then I go by the meat section, and out from behind the door of the meat counter comes this gentleman with a whole shopping cart full of roasts. And I'm like, what's he doing with all those roasts? And I looked closer. They were all prime rib roasts. And my ears perked up. It got my attention because just a couple weeks ago, I'd been talking with a friend about prime rib, and it gave me a craving for prime rib, and I haven't satisfied that craving yet. And so I looked at these roasts. Now, the reason I never cook prime rib is because I live alone, and they cook these huge roasts. You can only buy them big, and I would never be able to eat all of that before it spoiled. Well, they had a tiny little roast there at 5 pounds, 3 ribs of prime rib, and it was half price. So I'm standing there in the grocery store talking to this man, and I said, "So, what do you do around here? Do you just go around with this cart and get people to buy this stuff in your cart?" And he said, "No, I'm the butcher." And I'm taking this stuff up to the sale rack in the front of the store. So this particular store, when you walk through the door, there's a refrigerator display case right in the front of the door. You can't enter the store without going by it, and that's their sale case. And he was going to go put all these roasts in the sale case. And he said, there's a thing about these roasts, though. They're not going to last for till Christmas. I said, well, that's okay. I'm not doing Christmas dinner this year. Christmas isn't my big holiday. I'm doing other stuff for Christmas. I can cook this roast whenever the hell I want. And he looked at me and he got this big smile and he gave me a high five. And I got the roast, little 5 pound dude with 3 ribs on it, and finished my shopping and out I go. So I'm on my way home, half an hour drive. I'm thinking about, okay, who can I share this roast with? And it didn't take me long to come up with who I wanted to invite to share this roast with, because I like to cook for others. So I called her up. I said, "Do you want to come to dinner this weekend? What are you doing this weekend?" So, long story short, she's coming tomorrow night. She's bringing her husband, and she's bringing a mutual friend of ours who lives in this area in the winter. I know it's odd for people to come here in the winter. He lives in the Thousand Islands in upstate New York in the summer. And his house is on an island, and you can only get there by boat. So in the winter, it's frozen over. He has no access to his house, so he comes here and lives in the winter. And yeah, so that's how that works. Anyway, the three of them are coming over. We're gonna eat this prime rib. We're gonna have some other stuff with it. We're gonna have a nice little dinner tomorrow night on a Friday night. So that's the deal. How I felt when I began to consider who I wanted to invite to share my abundance with was off the charts good. I felt joyous. I felt peaceful. I felt happy. I was like, how wonderful is it that I've got some abundance that I can share? And I called this lady up and I could hear the delight in her voice. And she was a little surprised, I think, too. And invited her. And she called me later and she said, okay, here, what can I bring? And I was like, well, I wasn't thinking of having you bring anything, but I know this woman. She wants to bring something. So she's bringing something. And the guy who lives here in the winter, he bakes pies. So I told her, you know, I'm not expecting a pie, and I wouldn't want to ask him to make a pie, but if he wanted to make a pie, I wouldn't argue with him. So we might be having some pie for dinner. So That's what happens for us when we give. It's so good. It feels so good to do that. It feels so good. And we give where we feel supported. So if I've supported you in any way at any time this year, give, please. I will honor it. I will take that gift and use it to expand Fearlessly Feral Living even more than it's already expanded now. And I hope I get to see you for the year-long Fearlessly Feral program. And I hope I see your registration. So that's it for today. I am knowing Fearlessly Feral Living for me and for you. And thank you very much for listening.